In this video, we'll have a look at the blocks element included in the OctoMono app. The blocks element will allow you to create responsive and flexible layouts for your Weebly website. We start by dragging an element on the page and access the OctoMono dashboard. In our element selection, we will choose blocks. The block element exists in two main elements, the parent container, which is one element, and the child element or elements, depending on what you have specified. Above the preview window, you can toggle between different devices and different settings. The Add a Child Block button is also located here. First, we will have a quick look at the available options from the parent block. You can specify the type of background to be either a color, an image, or a video background. This video needs to be either from YouTube or Vimeo. For our parent block, we will upload an image. We will keep the default image that was set for now. You can upload your image as needed with the Upload Background Image input. You can position your image relative to the X and Y axis. You can apply true parallax for a nice background effect as users scroll through your page. A border can be set as well as the border radius, which will round the corners of the parent wrap. Under the Dimensions tab, you can select whether to show the element as full width. When this is not selected, the element will automatically adapt to the parent container it has been added to. Whenever you do select to set it to full width, please make sure to not drop the element inside of a Weebly column, as this most likely will cause issues. You can set the max width of the parent block. By default, this value has been set to 1000 pixels. Whenever you set the parent block to full width, a new option will appear where you can specify the maximum inner width of our child blocks. When we increase this value, you will see that this child block expands in width. Horizontal padding will increase or decrease the spacing from the left edge of our parent until the inner child and the right edge of the parent block until your inner child. Vertical padding will increase or decrease the spacing between the top edge of the parent and the first child block and the bottom edge of the parent and the last child block. Now let's have a look at the child block settings. By hovering over the child block, you can see three new icons appear at the top of the child block. The icon in the upper left corner will allow you to access the settings, the one in the middle will allow you to drag around the child block, and the one at the right upper will allow you to delete a block. We'll click on the settings icon at the left top. A settings box will appear where we can specify the settings for this specific block. In the visibility option, you can choose whether this specific block needs to be hidden on desktop, tablet or mobile, depending in which preview mode you are. Most of the settings such as background and spacings are the same as the parent block. Under the dimensions, however, is a very important settings. In here you can set the width you want your child block to have relative to the row it is in. Blocks use a 12-column grid, where 12 out of 12 will take up the entire grid and 1 out of 12 will only take up 1/12 of the grid. If you want to set this child block to be half of the width, you simply set this value to 6/12. We will change some settings of this block. Now we can see that our child block takes up half of the width. So let's include a new child block. You can add a new child block by clicking on the green plus button above the preview window. Once again, you can see that the child block starts by taking up the full width of our inner grid, and the child block is set to take up 12/12. We will modify this width to 4 out of 12 and modify the previous block as well to the same width. Let's modify some settings for our new block as well. Now that we have some more space, we include a third block and apply the same width for it as our two previous blocks. You can add as many child blocks to a parent as needed, and this way creating a beautiful layout. Let's include 2 more child blocks. We now have 5 child blocks in our parent block, and they are laid out as we want to be for large screens. Now we'll modify the width for tablet and mobile view. In tablet view, screens get a little less wide, so instead of having 3 blocks at the top in a row, we will set this to be 2 blocks. Make sure to click on the tablet icon above the preview window. Accessing the settings for each block, we will modify the widths accordingly. Now we will do the same for phone size or small screens. For this mode, we will set every child block to be using up the entire width of the inner grid. Clicking through the view modes, you can see that the layout nicely changes depending on the screen which your visitor will be looking at. You can always remove an element from any position needed, as well as move a child block around in case you made an error and want to modify its position in the grid. We will grab the drag handle and move around the child block. Whenever you want to delete a child block, do make sure that if previously added content inside that block needs to be reused, to move all of the content outside of this block within the Weebly editor, before actually deleting it. Once the block is deleted, there is no way of retrieving the removed block or its content. Whenever we click the Save button and get taken back to our Weebly editor, you can see the created layout appear and elements from the Weebly sidebar can be included.